Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you about how to make sure you don't shift tenses within your writing unnecessarily. So in other words, I'm going to give you some tips on how to avoid and stop changing verb tense when it's not necessary. Because sometimes it is and it's fine, but sometimes it's not. So we're going to talk about verb tense consistency. You want to stay consistent with your verb tense in what you're writing, unless, of course, there's a reason to change tenses. So that's what verb tense consistency is staying consistent from one verb tense to the next. And technically in English, we really only have two verb tenses, the present and the past. The future is technically it's a time, but I'm just going to say that it's also a tense for this video. Okay, so we're going to make sure that we can carefully stay within the present, the past, or the future consistently without moving or shifting back and forth for no reason. All right, so I want to give you an example here. I've highlighted the verb tense, okay, and words that show verb tense here, okay? So I tried to buy some fruit at the market yesterday. So I highlighted yesterday because it's past tense. I highlighted tried because it's past tense. So this is consistent and this is good. I tried to buy some fruit at the market yesterday, but I didn't have money when I got to the cash register. So I wasn't able to buy anything. All the verbs that I highlighted are in the simple past, and they are all consistent verb tenses. There is no reason to shift from one to the other. It's important to stay in the same tense, okay? So we're going to look at an example of a paragraph that might move around, and if it does, we're going to talk about and learn about why and when it's okay. So here is a paragraph called Why Running is All the Rage. Okay. As I read, please try to pay attention to the main tense frame. What that means is, what tense is what is this paragraph in? What's the main tense for this paragraph? And you could usually find that out by reading the first sentence. There are times where it might shift within. As long as there's a reason to do that, you're fine. I'm going to highlight all the verbs. Why running is all the rage. Although running is not ideal in all environments, it has become an ideal way to get some exercise. So the first sentence, I've read it. I can see that the verb tense is present tense, which is pretty typical. When you're writing a paper or a paragraph or a lot of things, we usually start with a general statement. And when we make general statements, we usually use the present tense. So I'm going to highlight that. The verb tense is present. Okay. Although running is not ideal in all environments, it has become an ideal way to get some exercise. Now, this is the present perfect, but I'm just going to say it's still in the present time. First, it is relatively cheap in comparison to other forms of exercise. So this sentence is still in the present tense. Many athletes pay, present, for gym memberships that can cost, present, up to $100 a month for CrossFit classes, yoga, or indoor basketball games, while running is, present, absolutely free if it is, present, done outside on public streets, sidewalks, or trails. And as long as the runner isn't drawn, present, into expensive, trendy road races or flashy running shoes, the only gear is, present, a pair of running shoes that can be found, present tense, for under $40 at discount stores. The second reason running is present, such a popular form of exercise is because it is an effective way to make friends and bond with others as long as it is present done with another person. For example, if someone goes present tense on 3 30-minute runs each week with the same person, that is a total of 90 minutes of friendly conversation, which is more time than most people spend with their family members, all present. The most important reason for why running is such a widespread sport is because of the many benefits it can offer, present, a person both mentally and physically. Not only does, present, it improve flexibility, muscle strength, and lung capacity, but it also releases, present, stress because it boosts, present, endorphins, which can result in what is known as a runner's high, present. For these reasons, running has become, present, all the rage in many parts of the world. So as you can see in this paragraph, everything is in the present time. It has remained that way all the way throughout. But I want to give you an example of how it would be okay to change verb tense within a paragraph whose main tense is present time. And I'll do that by giving an example. So as you can see, there's an example here. Okay, I'm going to add another example. And I'll say, this happened to me when I was on my college team. Okay, I used to run 5 days a week with the same group of people, and we became very close due to the many hours each week that we spent together running. Okay, now what I've done here is I've added an example to illustrate or explain the point that I'm making in this paragraph. This example happens to be from the past, which is fine because I alerted the reader to the fact that I was changing verb tenses. How did I do that? Because I shifted the time frame by mentioning the past. I said, this happened in the past. Okay, so I'll make it green. To me when I was on my college team. Now, that was in the past, but even if you didn't know that was in the past, reading that sentence, which is written in the past, you would know that the writer had this experience sometime before now. And then the example continues, I used, past, to run 5 days a week with the same group of people, and we became, past, very close due to the many hours each week we spent, past, together running. The most important reason for why running is a widespread, so then you go back to the present because we're shifting back to the main tense frame. We only went to the past to give an example to support the point of this paragraph, and that example happened to be in the past, which is totally fine as long as you give some sort of time frame or time word to signal that you're going to the past. I'll give one more example. So here it says, the most important reason for why running is such a widespread sport is because of the many benefits it can offer a person both mentally and physically. Not only does it improve flexibility, muscle strength, and lung capacity, but it also releases stress because it boosts endorphins, which can result in what is known as a runner's high. Watch what I'm going to do here. Since I have been getting these benefits from running for so long, I hope that when I am 60 years old, I will continue to benefit from this sport. Okay, so look what I did here. I shifted to the future time. I said, since I have been getting these benefits for so long, so that's present still, we're in the present time. I hope, when we hope, we're hoping for future. I hope that when I'm 60 years old, I'm going to make that blue because it's future. When I am 60 years old, I'm not 60 years old. That's happening in the future. When I'm 60 years old, I hope when I'm 60 years old, I will continue, future, to benefit from this. For these reasons, back to the present, because this is the main time frame. For these reasons, running has become all the rage in many parts of the world. So that is an example of a paragraph that does shift time frames, which is totally fine as long as you give a reason for it. Now, I'll give you some examples of some writing that does not have a reason for time shifts. So let's look at these examples. Paragraph number 1. The only work experience that I have had, present time, so this should be in the present. The only work experience that I have had in my life was, this is where it gets, okay, this is where we should shift. Now it goes to the past. Was the one when I was a part-time worker at a famous department store. Okay, now that's past, okay? So actually it works. So we shifted to the past, but there was a reason for it. And you can see that reason right here in this time clause, okay? So the only work experience that I have had in my whole life from the beginning until now was past when I was a part-time worker at a famous department store, okay? You could technically also say has been the one when I was a part-time worker at a famous department store. There was a grocery store in the basement of this famous department store. The name of the department store is Breeze Center. Okay, now here we have present time. Maybe this place is still open and still exists, but we don't know. So when that's the case, it's a better idea to just stay in the past because that's what the previous sentence was in. It was in the past, so let's just stay in the past. It was... Now it says is, but it should say was, Breeze Center, and the grocery store was named Breeze Super. Although even today it was, we're using the past, but we just said the word today. So when you use a time word that shows that we should change the time frame, we got to change the time frame. And we should say, although even today it is a distinguished department store, most people do not want to work there because it is much harder than other jobs. Okay, so this is fine. We have the present again, and then we have the present again here. This is fine. We fixed it, but it wasn't at first. There were times when this writer shifted to the wrong tense for no reason, or even used a specific time word for a specific time frame, but use the wrong tense. Let's look at this one, paragraph 2. My motivation to join a soccer team was an accident. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm reading the verb is in the past tense. So I believe now here, the main time frame for this is going to be the past. It's going to be a story because it's past. My motivation to join a soccer team was an accident. When I was young, great, past. I used to play, great, past, soccer pickup games with my friends. I don't know how to play soccer. Okay, now it's moving to the present. See what's happening? I don't know how to play soccer. It shouldn't be present. It should be, I didn't know. I didn't know, and it should be green. I didn't know. Why should it be present, past? Because there has been no word here that has shown the reader that there is a reason to change the time frame. If there's no word to change the time frame needs to stay in the past. I didn't know how to play soccer, but one day I heard, past, about the World Cup. Every 4 years, now here we go. This is a time word. Every 4 years, whenever you see a word like every always, usually, and we're talking about habits and general routines, present time, right? So this is a time word that tells the reader and the writer to change verb tense to the present. So every 4 years, the world turns its attention to soccer. I think now, as I'm writing, that's fine, the 2002 FIFA World Cup stands out as probably the most surprising World Cup of all time. Of all time. And I'm highlighting that because that is a time word that shows the reader that this person is saying that of all, from the beginning until now, of all the World Cups that have ever existed, the 2002 FIFA World Cup is the one that still, right now, stands out. Even though we're talking about a past, it's the one that stands out now still. So this is fine. A few years ago is, well, we have a few years ago, and that's past. So the verb should be past. A few years ago was the first time South Korea has qualified. It should be qualified, past, qualified for the semifinals. It was, good, past, an unbelievable result that really attracted me toward the sport. After that, now we're moving to the present again for no reason. After that still is the past. That happened, and then after that, this happened, but we're still in the past. There has been no time word to change the time frame. So after that, I wanted should be green. It should be in the past. I wanted to become a soccer player and asked, that's right, past tense, and asked my parents for permission. And that is how you keep your verb tense consistent. You look for the time frame, and if you want to change from one to the next, you make sure that there's a reason. And the only time there's a reason is when you give a new time word that represents the new time frame. And that's it. Let me know how it goes. I hope this helps you. Bye-bye.